All right, NYB community, NYB family, thank you for coming back. Episode number 231 of the Minding Your Business podcast, entrepreneurship, real estate, trending news. There's no business like minding your own. Episode number 231. Man, we're just moving this thing right along, and we do that with the help of all of you. So thank you so much for your support. Continue to do so. Subscribe to the podcast, 5-star, wherever you get your pods. That helps us continue to grow the NYB community. And of course, you can find us as always at champronbrooks.com. That's champronbrooks.com. I'm excited for today's guest. We're getting into a little bit different space for all of us, NYB, than some of the subjects that we normally cover, which that's exciting, right? One of the things that I've always prided myself with this podcast, and I was talking with our guest offline, is to be able to provide this, kind of gumbo, kind of hodgepodge of topic matters for you guys. So you don't get the same old thing all the time. I know people know me from kind of my real estate and banking background and may expect for me to kind of talk about those things and talk about numbers all the time, which we're not going to do. And certainly not on today's episode. So I'm extremely excited, and let's give a warm welcome to Erika Flint. She's an award-winning hypnosis or hypnotist, I should say that better, and best-selling author. So she's an award-winning hypnotist and best-selling author. And her business is the Cascade Hypnosis Center. And we're going to talk some about all of that today and bring it all together as we welcome our guests. So, Erika, thank you so much for taking time out, dedicated time to be a part of this.
Yeah, Champron, it's so good to be here today and talk with you and talk with your listeners. It's just wonderful. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely sound great. And looking forward to this conversation. Have been for some time. Let's dive right in. So, Erika, share with us kind of who you are, what's your journey story to get to where you are today.
Yeah, of course. So I was a software engineer living in Silicon Valley. This was almost 10 years ago, about 8 years ago, actually. And, it was a really good job, corporate America, great money, benefits, and, excellent people to work for. It was a really good company. But after a while, I realized there was really something missing. And I started to kind of struggle. I was drinking too much. Long story short, I did end up in the emergency room. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. It wasn't fun, but it was really important.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, I really had to decide, I'm either going to live.
Right.
Or I'm going to kill myself with alcohol, one way or the other.
Wow.
And it was such a pivotal moment. And I think that when it comes to business, the ability to make decisions and the power that comes when we make decisions is just so, so important. Because the moment that I decided to live, I remember it as clear as day, and I can tell you all the hypnotic reasons why this happened too, but I have a picture of it in my mind of me leaping off that gurney, and I'm like, I'm going to live.
Yeah.
And the power of the universe was behind me. I could almost feel it, just like, yes, right?
Right.
Right. So from there, then I had to have a new way to live and a new way to be.
Yeah.
And that's when that's kind of the beginning of the start of the story there. And then I found hypnosis.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk about, the drinking, because, I think sometimes, for those who have not experienced that, we tend to oversimplify that. We think that, it's just, really a simple thing. And that can be a really gripping addiction, as many of them can. I don't want to stack rank it, addictions here. Right. But that could be so powerful. I've seen it in my family, and I didn't really recognize it's kind of harsh grip on people, Erika, until I kind of, came of age a little bit and, really got to understand, the pathway journey, in that respect. And so from your standpoint, was it things personally just kind of collapsing down on you? Was it this combination of personal and things professionally? Because you talked about being in the corporate field, which definitely I think can make people drop to drinking, right? For sure. So, unpack that a little bit for us. Kind of that part of your journey that led to that ultimately led to you kind of turning things around.
Well, and I can tell you my perspective of it now, because at the time, my perspective of what was going on is very different than what I see now. But I can tell you the reason that I was struggling so much is I had lost my spirituality. I'd completely lost the greater reason to live, the reason to be here, the reason we're all here, which is to love and to care for each other and to make the world an awesome place. Recognize that we have heaven on earth right here, right now, and
Right.
notice the divinity in others that can be lit up so that we can connect to that. And that's raising the vibration. So, when I think what happened, Ron, is that I followed the path that a lot of us have been taught, at least the story of America, right?
Right.
You go to school, you go to college, maybe you get married, maybe you have kids, maybe you have the picket fence and the cars and, the kids and maybe a dog or something. And once you've got that, there's happiness around there.
Right.
And so I did all of that, and there was really something missing. And I can tell you that the alcohol for me, and this is very interesting, makes everything really quiet.
Yeah.
Really quiet. So the
Wow.
talking in my head, all of that stuff just gets really, really silent. I do the exact same thing now with hypnosis. I don't need any alcohol.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so as you came to that realization, right, and you come up off the hospital bed, what was your mindset at that point? Your mindset, obviously, like you mentioned, was to live. What did you find that you were living for? Right. Because I really want to kind of paint this picture or kind of set the stage of, you're at this extremely low point, Erika. You decide that you're going to move forward, that you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to live for?
Yeah, I had to live for something greater than myself. It couldn't be me anymore.
Yeah.
It had to be, I couldn't do that to my parents. I'm emotional thinking about it now.
Yeah.
It's still so powerful.
Yeah.
The energy that it takes to do that, and then the energy you get back from making the right decision is just tremendous. But I think I had to go back to something bigger than me. Like, I was raised Christian, wasn't super happy with that as far as religion goes or spirituality in my life. I kind of rejected that at some point. I came out dating women when I was, 5 years old. That was not, people weren't super happy about that in my life at the beginning either. So there were some things that for me that had gotten me astray from any spirituality at all. And I was just working. I didn't have my regular practice. I wasn't doing music. I wasn't reading. I wasn't doing any of that stuff. So I just started reading.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could think of, to just pick up some books and just go try and get quiet. I cried a lot. And I read a bunch of books, and the books that came to me were the ones that kind of led me to the right places. And
wow. So, you find that, the reading allowed you to go on these journeys, right? What I imagine, and I try to psychoanalyze, you here, Erika, I'm certainly not a professional in that, but I imagine that you found a peace, right? You probably going down that journey allowed you to take journeys outside of yourself. One of the things that's so great about reading, right, is you get to go on a journey through someone else's perspective. Right. And you get to see the world. It's one of the ways that we're able to travel, right? Even if you're not doing it physically, one of the ways that you could do that is through the written word. Right. And so I imagine that you went on these several different journeys. It's almost like how someone would say they physically might go on a sabbatical, right? Where they decide that they're going to hop on a plane, hop on a car, whatever their mode of transportation is, and physically go to other places and experience it that way. I think you took that more figuratively in that you went on journeys seeking to learn more about yourself through the literature of others, right? Which I think is amazing. I think it's a point that I think we're going to get to here shortly. And so as you did that, how did you find hypnosis?
I think I got lucky, or, I got in alignment. God brought it to me, Source brought it to me. But I started looking at classes in my local area because I really wanted it to be in person. I mean, I know now everything, we have a little bit different world now than we did in 2013, but I knew that I wanted to be in community and I wanted to be around other people. And I wanted other people around me that were doing the same type of thing, not just software engineering, right? So you tend to have groups of friends that are associated with where you spend a lot of time. And I'd spent so much time on my career, I hadn't really done my personal stuff anymore. So
Yeah.
the first class that I took was at a local college. It was like a breathwork class. I took an energy class. I think I took a drawing class. I mean, I was just like, whatever kind of is inspiring, like whatever kind of sounds fun, I allowed myself to do that. And then it was okay. You know, I wasn't finding the thing, but I was feeling better and I wasn't drinking and I was on a good path.
Yeah.
So then I did find hypnosis. And I remember in hypnosis, I remember in the classroom, the teacher was talking, and, you know, I'm a software engineer, almost 15 years. And as she's speaking, I'm getting like this, you know, like the light bulb over your head, like that actually. Oh my God.
Yeah, literally. Right.
I'm getting it, right? Like, hypnosis programs how you think and feel. Like you want your inner operating system, right? So I'm like, no wonder why I had to have my 14 years of computer programming, because I was going to go be the computer programmer for the most powerful computing device in the entire existence, which is the human mind.
Yes.
So that's what hypnosis does. It allows us to go inside and understand, why are we thinking in these ways? Why am I behaving in these ways? Why is my body doing this? So sometimes it's the body's consciousness. We get sweaty, we get anxious, stuff like that. We're nervous. And sometimes it's our heart. Sometimes it's emotional. It's like, why do I always get so upset? Or why am I still angry about that? Why is that still bothering me? Right. So understanding those things about us and the ability to change them is so powerful. I don't know of anything that's more powerful than that.
Yeah. And you know, so the common misconception that I think naturally that comes to mind with hypnosis is that, you know, again, you know, so much of, you know, particularly here in the United States, but probably around the world by now, is media and TV and movies drive so much, right? And so people think of this weird, you know, someone sitting there with something, twirling it and saying, hey, you're getting very sleepy, right? Or showing you something that's just twirling in this homogeneous form, and you're just sitting there staring, and now they have complete control of you. You know, that's kind of what gets portrayed in media and TV. Debunk that myth for us, if you would. I imagine that obviously that's not the case, right? And so talk about that process of hypnosis and how one goes on that journey inward.
Of course. Yeah. And you're right. So let me just address a couple of those things that you mentioned. Some of like the pocket watch, the hypnotic swirl, those both use a technique, an actual technique, but it's called eye fatigue.
Right.
And eye fatigue, it's just an older style. We don't use those same types of things, except normally in entertainment. So, you know, there are hypnotists who do entertainment style hypnosis, and they often have practices where they're helping clients in their office with things like losing weight, stopping smoking, stopping drinking, having higher performance, that type of a thing. So a big part of the job as a hypnotist is to help people understand, and that's why I'm here, is to like, okay, this is what hypnosis really is, everybody, right? I know you've been to the stage shows. This is what it's like if you came into my office, right?
Right.
So really, there is a process. There's a process that happens outside where we have the client think about everything that they do want. So there is a conscious piece to this, right? What are the changes that you want to make? So that's an intention, right?
Yeah.
Now, and that intention is very important, because sometimes the intention itself is something that, you know, hypnosis, we reveal that we don't actually want that intention.
Wow.
So I've helped a lot of clients lose weight, and sometimes they think they want to go back to when they were in high school, right? I want to go back to my high school weight. I want to go back to 120.
Of course. Wouldn't we all?
Right. And then, so let's say they want to lose 60 pounds, but then once they get to 30, they've lost 30 pounds, you know what? And they're 30 years older now, right? They're completely happy where they're at. It's not the weight loss they actually wanted. It's the liberation, the freedom, the happiness, the peace of mind, and everything that comes with the weight loss that they wanted. So the 30 pounds, once they got there, they're like, okay, this is the life that I want. I don't want that struggle where I'm really trying to lose the rest of that weight, right? So that the intention is a very, very important part that is often overlooked. And so really good hypnotists spend enough time on kind of understanding that piece of it, because we can work on that part. Now, as far as the brain goes, there's a couple of things that we want to do. So the first thing that we want to do is calm down the body. So when you come into a hypnosis office, the hypnotist will do something with you called a hypnotic induction. And the induction takes you from a normal state of consciousness, which I don't really care for the word normal, but the state of consciousness that is common, right? Probably your listeners are in right now. I'm in right now, paying attention
Mhm.
to that type of a thing. To a altered state of consciousness, which is a hypnotic state of consciousness, where you are more likely to accept positive suggestions about yourself, right? And believe these things about yourself. Now, when we
Yes.
truly believe something at the core of who we are, there's nothing that'll stop us.
Right. Very true.
Right. So what hypnosis does, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to calm down the body, because the nervous system, like if you're anxious or freaking out or something like that, it's not the type of hypnosis that we would want to do. After your body is calm, the next thing that we're going to do is help you relax your mind.
Yes.
And we have something very specific for that. It's called the alpha sequence, and it's highly, highly effective. So quieting the mind, getting rid of that chatter, getting rid of any negative self-talk, getting rid of all of that. So there's just a lot of peace. Now, from that place, and this is kind of newer, but it's what I do with my clients, I have them drop into their heart.
Mm.
The heart has the strongest electromagnetic field. The ability to entrain anything around it is your heart. And
Right.
drop into your heart. And then from there, that's where we do very specific hypnotic techniques to help reveal issues. That's what hypnosis really is doing. It is revealing. So it's kind of like peeling the layers back on things that we thought and things that we believed and things that our parents told us and our sister told us and teachers told us. And it's easy to think that those things are true because we learned them when we were little and we
Right.
adopted them as truth rather than truly understanding if they're true for us.
Sure. You know what? And you unpack so much for us that we could go. There's so many different directions with the way you just explained that, Erika. Let's go down the pathway from a business owner standpoint.
Okay.
So those that are listening that hear that, I think there's a tremendous power that gets missed in understanding how to understand ourselves, right? Particularly those that are listening that are business owners, right? Maybe they're newly business owners. Maybe they have side hustles and they're moonlighting, or maybe they're completely in the workforce, right? Understanding ourselves from the inside, I think something that's often gets missed. What we often get in business is we do things like Strength Finder. We try to find out
Right.
what our strengths are based on somewhat intrinsic, but mostly extrinsic forces, right? And so we use that then to how we manage people, right? I remember being in leadership. My background's in banking, Erika, 17 years. And so I would lead bank teams and we would do all these strength finders, and all of it was designed, right, to get an understanding of how to best manage an individual.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Most of it is extrinsic, right? What are the things that trigger them? What do they enjoy? So that I know how to approach that person or what motivates them to perform with whatever I'm asking them to perform. I think hypnosis takes that even another step to where that individual, not so much me,
Mm-hmm.
right? See, what we try to do sometimes in the corporate life is we want to find out more ways we can control, right? Or more ways that we can have control or feel like we have power, as opposed to an individual seizing that within themselves, right? And a lot of it is because what you just explained, we don't understand that, right? And then when I say we, I'm talking about those of us kind of that come from that corporate world or kind of in business. That's not something we really understand or really respect. And the lack of understanding then creates the fear and the lack of respect for it. But I think there's so much power for anybody that I described, Erika, but particularly for those that are looking to make some sort of transition, right? Because typically there's this fear and anxiety of going from the corporate life, like into operating your own business. There's misconceptions, there's fears, there's anxieties, all the things you talked about that are in our heads. And I think you touched on something powerful, because I think a lot of businesses fail, not so much because they lack money or because there's not talent or because they can't get a proof of concept. A lot of it starts with the leader and what's going on in his or her mind. right?
Absolutely.
All those misconceptions you talked about, going back from when you could first understand language at, 3, 4, 5 months old, everything from that point, and maybe even before then, maybe even going back to utero,
Mhm.
right? Your experience in life from the time you switched on to whatever time you're hearing us today, all the things that you've been fed, all the environment that you've been around, the things that people have done, the things that people were supposed to do that they didn't, all these things start shaping us, right? And we develop, like you said, these forces, these defense mechanisms,
Yeah.
right? Whatever they are. And then we self-medicate when the defense mechanisms aren't doing what we want them to do, then we find a way to self-medicate.
And
Um,
then medication becomes a problem that we
yeah,
have to deal with, right?
yep, exactly. Talk about that and unpack that for us if you can.
Yeah, sure. I think what you just mentioned is so critical. And I don't think it's just for business owners. I think it's just for humans in general. We really, like, ideally, before you make any decision, before you really do anything, you have to like be feeling good inside yourself. And so now if I'm ever feeling stress or pressure, and of course it happens, I'm a business owner, I'm publishing my fourth book, I'm working on an album, we're doing a new program. I mean, there's tons of potential for right?
Right, right.
Around any corner. But I'm not ever going to make any decision unless I get quiet and settle inside. And the
Yes.
reason is because that is where the answer is. The answer is never in my email. The answer is never on my phone. The answer
Right.
is never at the bar or
On
wherever.
Google or something like that. Right.
It's always in here. And this is why it's so hard for people, because most people haven't been taught how to go in internally and kind of quiet down. And it's not pleasant. So for most people, it's like, I don't get this. I don't get this hypnosis, or I don't get this meditation, whatever it is that they're being asked to do to get quiet. And that's part of the reason why I love hypnosis so much, Ron, because we can help them with guided meditation so that the thinkers who have a lot going on in their mind, super quiet space or just instrumental music doesn't work for them. It just doesn't. And
Yeah.
so we have other techniques to help entrepreneurs. I mean, we've got entrepreneurs, business owners. There's a lot of thinking going on there. But
Yes.
if we can get clarity on that thinking, that's what we want, right?
Yeah.
So the
Absolutely.
ability to do that, right? So as far as business owners go, decision making is huge. Getting rid of money blocks is
Yes.
huge, right? Um,
Absolutely.
I might be off track with your question.
No, you're certainly on. You're
Okay.
on point. You're on point.
Those are the two things that I help business owners with the most, I would say. Kind of clarity on decision making. They're trying to put in, Eric, I need help with my new product, my new book, my new program, whatever it is. They're trying to put that together, and they're feeling some lack, and there's something blocking them, or they're feeling the inability. And I think for all new entrepreneurs, this is so true. It's like, how do we ask for money? It's so hard to say, will you pay me, please?
Right.
So receiving money and asking for the right amount and all of that is a big part. But I also, business owners also need a lot of help with just the regular stuff, right? Like
Yes.
stopping drinking, stopping smoking, just, not Netflixing at night. That sort of thing. We get so tired, Ron. We get so tired during the day. And then when we come home, how much energy do we have to be with our families and loved ones and do all of the really, really cool things that we want to do? Like, how long
Yeah.
do we have for that? When we don't have enough energy, what happens is we go home, and then that's why we Netflix, or, because we don't have enough energy to do anything else.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And I think that in this hyper work environment that we have, particularly here in America, for those who have traveled, maybe abroad and in other countries where, one of the many things that are different, in terms of other areas is, one of their views on work, Erica, their view on that type of thing, right? There are other countries, obviously, and I've been to some of them where they value leisure time and those type of things over this kind of hyper grind that we like in America, where we reward the person that's always working, right? Even if they're not really being productive or really getting anything done, we value the busyness, right? The fact that they're always available and the fact that there's this busyness. And by not being able to channel inward, we often find ourselves, even with all this hyper work and, many that are very successful in what they do. We don't find this peace, right? We don't find this fulfillment. And so we find things to try to go on these little mini journeys to fulfill ourselves. When really what we should be doing is learning more about us, not just to fulfill what the boss wants from us at the job, not just to satisfy a vendor or a customer in our business, but for us, right? So, even when you talk about from religious standpoint, we often go to, the verse of, charity starts at home, but we don't apply that, kind of around, certainly to ourselves.
Oh, such a good point. Yeah, we got to care for ourselves.
Yeah. So when we think of charity, we think of charity as outward, right? Just like we think of nonprofit, because we're always thinking kind of capitalism, right? So we think charity is me giving to somebody, we don't think about how I do that for myself, because we think of that as being, self-absorbed or, which this country was built on kind of that individualistic self-absorption. We just don't like to be honest about projecting it. So
selfish, and they call it other things like,
exactly. So I loved your explanation on how we can benefit on hypnosis from a business owner standpoint, because I think there's a lot of power in what you said in learning that, because, and here's the benefit, right? You can tell me if you agree or not, Erika, but when you get into some of the benefits of understanding yourself and being able to quiet yourself down, like you said, you make better decisions that are more holistic, right? You can make them crisper. You can understand where the mitigants are, right? You can get a comfort level with every piece of that process may not go to plan, right? But I'm comfortable with that. And I understand that I won't be able to solve all the world's problems with every one decision. But I can still go on the journey and find peace. At the end of the night, I can lay my head on my pillow and find peace. I can be better for my family, better for my friends, better for, my entire environment, my community. When I'm able to have dominion over myself, right?
Ooh, I love
and my inside.
I might need to use it, Champron. What do you think? Can I use
it? Well, maybe you can quote me in a book that's coming up one time. Right. But that's what I see that. I think it's extremely powerful. And that's why, I was really looking forward to this episode, and particularly this time of the year, because this is, again, let's strip everything off now, Erika. All right. This pandemic has been what it's been, right? And it's been tough for many people. This time of the year is normally difficult for a lot of people anyway. It's normally a very busy time of the year in a very capitalistic society. You have many people that unfortunately have dealt with great loss, whether it's themselves or with family members. And then that's been exacerbated by this pandemic, right?
This is for a lot of my clients. The reason the holidays are so stressful is that they are either reminded of the abuse that happened in their family when they were younger. So now they're either expected to go back to mom and dad's, or to go to Christmas where the uncle was there, or whatever it is, right? So yeah, it's about loss. It's about, the whole pandemic, and then this whole kind of bringing up of an abuse cycle that happens for a lot of people too during this time of year. And all the people we miss that have passed away that aren't with us at Christmas,
Right. Yep, exactly. So you're exactly right. You touched on all those areas and probably even more that, again, get exalted as this time of the year. And then, like I say, from the pandemic standpoint, it doesn't seem like it's getting better here in the short term. I think many are exhausted from the length of time that it's lasted, and then the widespread holistic impact that it's had on essentially everybody, right? To some form or fashion, some more or less than others, like everything, right? But I think that as we round it and we head into 2021, Erica, that one of the things that's come from this year, and I'd love to get your opinion on this, is the ability, if you just look at it personally and professionally, the ability to be agile, the ability to adapt, and the ability to be open to new ways of viewing yourself and viewing the environment. This pandemic has put a force on that, right? It's put a force on business owners to be open to remote work. It's put pressure on people to, from a social equality standpoint, right? With what's taking place with, murders of Black and brown people in this country, and how that, I don't want to say for the first time, but certainly as a whole list, from a holistic view, has cast a light on some of society's ills. And I've said this on other podcasts, is that the United States of America has been challenged big time this year. The very first word in our name, United.
Yes.
That's the piece that has been challenged the most, right? And I think that as all of us as individuals that run up to the country, Erica, as we get better understanding of ourselves internally, right? I think that's going to help us, society as a whole, right? Collective.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got to go inside. We've got to clear some of our own stuff out, and we've got to figure out like you said, figure out other ways to do business. I mean, I see businesses doing, very interesting things now, like not just, having people work from home, but new roles and new ways of doing business. I think that's exciting. I see positive changes for me, like as far as, business has been fine at the Hypnosis Center. It went down a little bit, but we're still in business, so I'm really happy. Personally, it's been a huge blessing. I stopped doing all the things I shouldn't have been doing the whole time that I thought I needed to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, those things weren't really all that ever important. And now I have more freedom. So in this time period, I am finishing my 4th book, which has taken me 2 years. I finally did it during the pandemic. I've nearly written an album. I wrote 10 songs.
Wow.
Pandemic. I've collaborated with some of the coolest people in the world. And so, I mean, it's just like everything came together during the pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the books. Let's get into that because you mentioned your 4th book that's upcoming. Let's get into the books that are available that you've done. So you've done Lighter, you've done Reprogram Your Weight, and you've also done Can You Be a Hypnotist?
Yep.
Right. All of those, have led you to become a best-selling author. And MYB, I want to take this time to give a quick shameless plug that go to Amazon, go to Erika's sites. They're in the show notes, and make sure you purchase a copy of the book. Let's do that. I will be doing that when I get done recording this, but you should be doing that as well. So make sure you get a copy. Again, you heard Erika said early on in her walk that one of the things that helped her was reading. That's one of the things that helps slow us down is reading. Now, I know how you are. You get to where you're in such a hyper rush with things. But one of the things you should look to do is kind of slow down, and reading helps you do that. And so I encourage you to pick up the books. But anyway, Eric, I want to put that out there so that people do that. But talk about each one of those, kind of individually. You can start wherever you want, but share with us, the inspiration behind the book and what we can expect when we pick it up.
So Reprogram Your Weight was my first book that was published in 2016, and it's a collection of client wins regarding weight loss. And so, so many people want to lose weight, but it really is difficult because the food manufacturing industry, it's an industry, right? So this book helps people lose weight with hypnosis using inspirational stories. Right?
Yes.
The second book, Lighter, has 31 tools to help you lose weight and keep it off. Now, both of those books have hypnotic recordings that come with them if you want to listen to the hypnosis recordings. They're not intended to be the 100% full solution because you need to go in to get the answer. But these books help you do that. And so it will be helpful for folks on the weight loss journey. A lot of folks tend to want to work with me privately after they read those books. We have a center where we have lots of folks who are doing that type of work if they are interested. The third book is Can You Be a Hypnotist? So, the reason I wrote the first two books is I was too busy. I was scheduled out like 3 months in advance, and it was just too much. So this will be, you guys have probably heard this before in this business, right? You don't want to trade time for money. I was trading all my time, right, for money. And I'm like, I have got to digitize this so that I went from 12 hours in front of the client to probably 8 hours in front of the client. Wow. So I wrote a book, I created a video program, and I just created a whole thing around it. So now from 12 to 8, I think, what is that, a 25%, 30% reduction, something like that. So that really freed me up. Oh, man, I was so tired there for a while because I love my clients. I'm not going to say no, and I was raising my rates, but it was still happening. So I created so here's the decision that I made. Everything that I repeat to my client over and over and over, and I think this is a really good practice. By the second time is when I do it. The second time I mention something to a client, it goes on the list to digitize in one way or the other. Sure. Right? So because I don't want to repeat myself. So once that happens, then I'll go create a video, and then it gets put in a sequence. Make sure that all of our clients that have, that are going about this is some of the message that we're going to be sending them. Right. And so that type of thing goes into the book. Yeah. Right. Yep. So now I'm not, my clients are getting served before I even actually work with them. They're reading the book. They're starting to lose weight. They're feeling better. So I'm feeling better. I'm not working as much, my team. Right. But then we realized, oh my goodness, let's not just help people. Let's train other hypnotists because there's so much work to do. We've trained about probably 120 hypnotists now. My goal is 1,000. Because every hypnotist will work with at least 1,000 people. And my goal is to help 1 million people with the power of hypnosis. So once I train 1,000 people, right, that's 1 million people served. Yes. And it's super rewarding because now not only do I get emails and client wins from my own clients and the clients that work at Cascade Hypnosis Center, because we have hypnotists that work there. So the clients from there, but now we're getting, thank you letters and those types of things from people all over the world from our hypnotists. So it's extremely rewarding. The fourth book, I'm excited about, it's called The Academy of Eternity. And this book is all about stabilizing heaven's state here on earth. So the belief in this book is heaven is here on earth right now. You just have to notice it, and you just have to pay attention to it. And oh, by the way, here's how you can notice it, and here's how you can pay attention to it. And as you do that, you're going to notice it more and more and more. So you start following a path of miracles. Basically, they seem like miracles, and then you'll probably start laughing to yourself over time. You're like, well, if I'm having miracle after miracle after miracle, are they miracles? Well, yeah, they are. They are miracles. Right. So, celebrating the fact that they are miracles, but yeah, you can have them stacked up one after the other all day long when you're looking for them, which is the opposite of the way the brain is designed right now. Right now, the brain is designed to look for the negativity. So we can overcome that. We can overcome our own biological limitations and have real-time evolution and get our brain focused on the things that are important to us and change our life that quick.
Incredible. When can we expect the fourth book?
February 11th.
Awesome.
It will be on Amazon. So Academy of Eternity. If your listeners want to go get the activation kit for that, that'll be out soon. That's at academyofeternity.com.
Okay. Awesome. Will you send that to me or have someone from your team send that to me? So so that way I can get that out to the audience and we could be prepared. Definitely, for sure. Yes, Erika. So, let me ask you this: is a podcast in your future? I think you'd be a tremendous podcaster.
Oh, why, thank you. Yeah, I'm a guest on one, and I'm so sorry. I didn't realize this. My computer's about ready to die. I'm just gonna grab my charger.
No, please go ahead.
We talked about COVID earlier, and it's like I'm traveling right now, and I would never not have my computer plugged in, but I guess you just have to roll with what's happening. And that's one thing that COVID has really taught me, Ron. we just want to make things happen.
Yeah, absolutely. No question about it. No question about it. We roll with it.
Yeah, let's get our clients the results. Don't worry about those, And so, so thanks to you and your guests for letting me take
Oh, of course. That's part of,
my computer in.
Yeah, one of the things we do with this podcast, Erika, is is very authentic, and I don't do a ton of editing on this. One, I've got a poor attitude towards it, and my audience knows that I do. So I've got a poor attitude towards it because I'm not the guy that likes to sit for 3 and 4 hours editing podcasts. I just kind of put it out there because here's the thing. There's always things are always going on, right? That's just I look at this podcast the same way I do public speaking, in the sense that one, this helps me with that. Yep. But when you're up in public speaking, there's no edit button, there's no pause button, right? So I treat this the same way. Everybody would sound great what if you could publicly speak and you had this remote, and if you said something you didn't like, you could just edit it out, or if someone in the back gets up and hits the table too loud or something, you could just edit it out. Well, of course you'd sound great, right? I always challenge myself when I go back to listen to these, and I hear something I say or something I do, and it's like that challenges me to get better for the next time. So I feel like I'm working better on my skill set, right? To edit my journal rather than the crutch of editing. Now that I say that's no knock to people who do edit theirs. I think it's tremendous, and if you've got the patience, and more power to you if you do. Yeah, I'm just not that guy, Erika. I'm not that guy. So that's just kind of is what it is. So no, but thank you for that. What do you see next as we round into the new year? And we've talked so much about the benefits of hypnosis and how it benefits not just business owners but just people in general. What are you kind of seeing for the Hypnosis Center, for yourself? Obviously, you have the book coming out in the first quarter of the year, so I know you're excited about that, Erika. But what do you see? What should we all be mindful of as we go into this new year?
Yeah, I think we've already talked a little bit about it, and you said it earlier. We got to go in. It's interesting. It's like it felt like life was so much about kind of like outreach and social media and everything out there. Everything that you want must be outside of you. Right. Pandemic, it almost seems like everybody's coming back home. I mean, people are investing more in their homes now. They're like fixing their homes up because it's like, hey, if I can't travel, if I can't go anywhere, I want my home to be nice. And what I'm seeing people do is building communities. And actually, I have a friend who just moved to Los Angeles, and he says, I didn't get an apartment like I normally would. I got a home. And I found 4 or 5 other people that I trust that are going to live with me, because I don't know if we're going to really have any social life. Right. So I think what I see for me personally is, the book's coming out February 11th, Academy of Eternity. We have a new program. So our first event for Academy of Eternity is in April, and it's called Dance the World Alive. We're
I like that.
People just like, right? I mean, for thousands of years, humans used to sing and dance in community together, to share and to kind of grow. And so this is a coaching and empowerment program with singing and dancing, all about stabilizing heaven state, all about hypnotic, being able to go inside and find the answers within, right? Creating that space inside to be able to find and navigate. What did you say? Navigate your domain or dominion?
Yes.
Yes. So wonderful. So the ability to do that's in April. So, I mean, that's a lot for me, publishing a book and a new program. But I do see for people in the world doing something like hypnosis or picking up your spiritual practice, reconnecting with old friends in your community. Let's all come back in.
Yes.
Right? Come back home.
Yeah. I like that. Come back home. That should be our theme for 2021. Just a simple title, Come Back Home. I love that. Erika Flint's our guest today here on the Minding Your Business podcast. MYB, what I want you to do is when you get done listening to the podcast, I want you to go into show notes, and I want you to go to CascadeHypnosisCenter.com. That's where you can learn more about the center. You can connect on Facebook. That's just facebook.com/Cascade Hypnosis Center. And so make sure you do that and connect with Erika and her team and let her know that you heard her right here on the Minding Your Business podcast. Erika, this has been tremendous. Just a wealth of information. I love your approach. I love your temperament. I could definitely see that you've got a great heart and mind for helping people, and that comes forward in how you present. And so thank you for that. And I think this has been very informative for all of us and very timely too. I'll say that again. This is very timely for us and for those that are listening, to gain this kind of information and, resources that many of us probably didn't even know were out there as an opportunity. So thank you so much for that. Make sure, MYB, that again, you go out, go in the show notes to the links, pick up all three of Erika's books. Just order them all three at once. I mean, you're on Amazon all the time. You got Prime. They'll get them to you in 2 or 3 days or whatever. Go ahead and order all three. And then that way you'll be all set you'll have the whole collection when the fourth book comes out February the 11th. Erika, again, thank you so much. You're tremendous to take time and join us today on the Minding Your Business podcast.
Thank you, Champ Ron. And for any of your listeners who want to, you can email me if you have questions about the book or anything. Like I want to be available, right? I want to talk with people. So reach out if you have any questions about hypnosis, weight loss, business, and hypnosis, anything at all. I'm here for you. And Ron, you're awesome. I love being on
Appreciate
your
it.
You have a huge heart. It's super obvious. So yes.
Thank you so much, Erika. I really appreciate those kind words. And again, best wishes to you personally and professionally. And let's all come home in 2021.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much. Erika Flint, award-winning hypnotist and best-selling author, joins us here for episode 231 of the Minding Your Business podcast. Listen, everybody, don't forget the real estate investing in 2021 workshop is completely sold out. I will be getting dates for some follow-ups, so don't you worry. You will have an opportunity, but thank you to the 100 people that have registered and joined, are locked and excited and ready to go on Zoom for Sunday, December the 27th. Speaking of going home, with real estate, that's what we're going to help you do. We're going to learn and teach in the workshop ways that you could get involved in real estate investing, the ways that I do it. So I'll show you exactly what I do and to move the needle and how you can get involved. So looking forward to that and more to come as we get into the new year. And don't forget, you can learn more about that and many other things, as well as listen to these podcast episodes at champronbrooks.com. Listen, there's three things. I always say this. There's three things that unite us all, no matter where we're from, no matter what side of the tracks that we're from, no matter what your upbringing was, no matter what setbacks or joys that you've seen and faced. We all want to be a little bit better for ourselves, a little better for our families, and a little better for our communities. And if you keep that in mind with everybody that you come across, it's easy for us to find the differences. We use many things to draw divides and lines in the sand, right? We use colors, we use locations, we use, size, we use speed, we use all kinds of different things, 8 ways to Sunday on how we divide ourselves, blue and red in Washington, all these different things. At the end of the day, with every person that you come across, every living thing that you come across, remember that we all have that in common. So look for the commonalities. Right? We all have those three things in common, if nothing else. Right? And so if you do that, we'll all have a little bit greater respect for each other, and we'll all make this place just a little bit better. Heaven on earth, as our guest Erika Flint said earlier today on the podcast. So remember that. Champ Ron, the Minding Your Business podcast. Go be great.